Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. With the Season 4 Reloaded update here in Warzone, we ended up seeing a new meta update. We saw the introduction of a new weapon, the Reclaimer 18 shotgun, alongside a handful of buffs and nerfs to various different meta weapons. And of course, with that today, I wanted to go through and break down the entire new meta update and reorganize our meta tier list. What weapons are going to be deemed absolute meta, more top tier, really good options, more just generally competitive choices, mediocre ones that are all right, but not really anything all that crazy. Then of course the weapons you typically tend to stay away from. So first things first here, I do have my handy dandy list of notes here to my side with all the different weapon changes and updates that went through, but we got to go through and rank the Reclaimer 18. And unfortunately, for it being the Spaz 12, you know, an iconic weapon, well, it's not really that iconic in game. I think this one honestly just lumps in with the other shotguns, and all the shotties right now pretty mediocre, maybe sub the Riveter, which probably could be more of like a competitive choice with like the slug build that we've talked about before. All the other shotties kind of not really that great. They don't really stand out in any particular way. And the Reclaimer 18, whether you're using it with, you know, slugs or in pump action or in semi-auto, it's all right. In pump action, when you ADS, you can get some potential 2-hit kills, but its consistency, its reliability, just not up there as of right now. So it's more of just a mid-tier shotty. You can use it and you'll get some kills with it, but I think for the close range meta, there are several choices that are far more reliable. But talking the specific weapon changes now, we've got a lot to go through here. So first up, the BAL 27 ended up seeing a lower torso multiplier buff, so those body shots will be a little bit better now. It's nothing too extreme. It's still going to be just a competitive rifle. It's still kind of awkward because the change in fire rate. So if you're firing in that super fast fire rate, its TTK is really good, but if you're hitting shots in those first 4, it's just kind of average. So it's a competitive rifle, but it's not going to be a major standout by any means. This is one that I'm actually really excited about. The MCW, which we currently have an absolute meta because of its conversion kit being the best sniper support. The base MCW got a long range damage buff and a velocity buff. If we had 2 separate ones for the MCW conversion and then the base MCW, I'd say the base MCW rifle is easily now top tier, but then of course the conversion kit still stays in absolute meta. That change was only for the base MCW, but its long range damage now is going to be better than it's ever been before, so absolutely love to see that one. On top of that, the Holger 556 also got a velocity buff and a mid-range range buff as well, so that now becomes even more lethal. Its damage per mag, because of its 40 round mag being the max, is still not going to be phenomenal. That I think is the one main drawback, keeping it from being an absolute meta choice, but it still is a great rifle, arguably like top 3, top 4 right now in general. And the MTZ 556, which has a crazy competitive TTK, got a velocity buff as well, so now that's even better for mid to long range fights. So really liking some of the main rifle updates they've done with this patch. Now down and below average, we'll find the M16, which has been here largely because of the burst version of it just being absolute trash, but the Jack Patriot aftermarket part is truly the best way to use the M16, and it was already really good. We talked about it just a couple of days ago. TTK is in the middle of the mix there, super competitive, and it got a mid-range damage buff, so now it's even better. This absolutely, in my opinion, is up here as a top tier rifle with some of those other good MW2 choices. Its control is a little bit iffy. It's got a lot of movement up and down, but its damage is phenomenal, and it just got even better. So really cool to see that and actually have an MW2 option up towards the top of the meta. Several MW2 options are good now, but that's definitely a standout in my opinion. And by the way, as we are going through all the meta changes, all the weapon updates here, if you are new to the channel, every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. If anything's going on in COD, this is the first place you'll hear about it, so feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to guarantee you're always up to date. And if you enjoy this video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It is always really appreciated, and it does really help the channel grow. Now the MTZ 762 ended up seeing a close and a mid-range range buff, so the range just got extended there. That's nice, but its overall damage range, especially with its TTK factored in, is not going to be something that is like a huge significant buff there. It's definitely better, but it's outclassed by several choices, so it's just going to be a competitive battle rifle at the moment still. Now we did end up seeing a couple of SMG buffs here too. The Scimitar kit on the FJX Horus, which is probably a meta contender. I'd have that in absolute meta, and I'd have the base Horus in absolute meta as well. The thing's just good in every way. The Scimitar kit in specific ended up getting range buffs across the board, so it's even better now for sniper support. That's definitely a very cool update there. The base striker also saw a slight torso buff, so it's going to be a little bit faster when it comes to getting body shots, lower torso shots. The loudest plane ever is going by. And then the Rival 9 also ended up getting a slight range buff. Nothing too crazy there. It's still more so a competitive SMG. I think it's close to top tier, but not quite there yet. Actually, you know, Swarm and AMR 9 are both in here. I think the Rival 9 probably deserves to be here as well, the more I think about it. It's close enough with these two options, and it's got great mobility that I think it's balanced enough there. But Rival did get slightly better. Not a crazy jump up, though. Hey, folks, briefly want to chat about my friends over at Gamer Advantage. Of course, GA is no stranger to the channel here. Every single face cam video, you guys see me rocking my Horizon frames. These things are game changers. I've said it before, I'll say it again. There's no more important thing at my setup here, the computers, the monitors, the controllers, than these glasses, because these allow me to do what I do best day in and day out. If you're looking at screens for long periods of time, whether you're working, doing school, gaming, whatever it may be, you got to get yourself a pair of GA frames. They offer prescription and regular lenses. They've got a bunch of different colorways and frames, so a little bit of something for everyone there. And when it comes to sleeping better at night, reducing eye strain, these things are phenomenal. Best of all, if you want to throw in code Immortal at checkout, you end up getting yourself a nice little discount as well. The link for that will be down in the description below if you're interested. A handful of MW2 LMGs also saw some buffs here. So the RAL LMG ended up getting a long range damage buff. Nothing too crazy, but for a bit now, its TTK has actually been surprisingly competitive. So this is when I'm absolutely going to jump up into that competitive category. It's better now than it was before. And for a while now, like I said, especially like in the mid range, the RAL is actually capable of competing relatively decently there. The Sakin MG38, not nearly as much, but it did end up getting a buff as well. Its long range damage got a slight buff there, so that's definitely cool to see. The RAP H, technically the fastest TTK LMG in the game, also got a buff to its leg multiplier, so not really anything super significant there, but technically it's still better than it was, you know, beforehand. If you're hitting those body shots or those limb shots, it'll still have a super fast TTK there too. And like I said, it really stands out in the LMG category if you're purely going off of how fast it knocks enemies out. But cool to see some buffs there. Also, the HCR 56 ended up getting a range buff, but it was for its mid-range, not really where it's going to be thriving the most. I think that one probably stays in mediocre. Now, the Lockwood MK2 Warden conversion kit, all right for a shotgun, probably more so in the mix with these other ones too. Unfortunately, they murdered the Sprintifier on this thing. It got a really big nerf there, so its Sprintifier is not going to be very fast, but it's a shoddy like the other ones, and it's good in some situations and really not that great in any. And then lastly, the Car 98K got its nerf. They took away the aim assist and made it sniper-based aim assist. They also nerfed its range and its velocity for Warzone, but it's still got decent enough velocity for where you're going to be fighting with it the most. Its range for one-shots when you put on all the correct attachments is also still very good, especially for aggressive gameplay, for resurgence-style gameplay. Big map, you might struggle a little bit more, but yeah, this thing is still by far a top choice for snipers. I'd argue probably still the #1 sniper choice here, a marksman choice here. So it, for resurgence, is probably going to be the go-to still even after the nerf. I think big map will probably be more cat AMR than anything else, maybe some mores here and there. And then of course, if you want the better one-shot damage range now, you can end up using the stalker with certain attachments there. But across the board, the one-shot sniper meta is not going to change all that much with this update. The main thing here is going to be players getting used to playing with the car without the addition of that extra aim assist that it being a marksman was offering before this update. So it's nerfed, but it's not going to be something that takes it away from being spammed a ton. That said, I think we're trending a little bit more in the right direction with this update. I think we could do with more buffs to general rifles and LMGs here to maybe bring some of these up into the absolute meta area, especially when it comes to control and velocity. And even more so on MW2 weapons in specific. I think if a little bit more was done there, you would have a lot of really good potential options here. Like, these are good as is, but there are some clear distinctions when you're using, you know, an FR Avancer or a 545 versus a Holger or an MCW or a BP50, right? So I think we're trending in the right direction. I'm hoping to see more updates like this one, though, where there are more buffs across the board rather than nerfs, so we have more, you know, competitive choices across the board here. But that's how the meta currently plays out here post Season 4 Reloaded. And that's going to wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy. Have an awesome rest of your day. And I'll catch you later. Peace out.